I was wrong, and I am so prepared to gloat about it. If you've watched my previous videos covering Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach, you'll know there were a couple mysteries I was trying to solve related to a character who we only know as Patient 46. Patient 46 is a character who can only be found by listening to therapist tapes collectible after reaching 6 AM, and listening in on them gives us a pretty good sense of what this mystery antagonist was like. They never speak during the actual tapes so as to keep their identity hidden, but from what we can gather, they are a manipulator, a hacker, and a killer, even dispatching of their own therapists once they get a little too close to the truth about who 46 is. And now we have our answer, and this is where I was just so wrong. I previously said that 46 had to be either Elizabeth Afton or a brand new character, and both were actually wrong. But the reason I was wrong, I'm going to chalk up to there not being enough clues in place to make the connection. Patient 46, as recently revealed in a leaked upcoming story, is Gregory. Yes, the same Gregory that you play as in Security Breach. But I can already hear you saying, hold on, this doesn't make sense. You even eliminated any male characters in your theory video. And yes I did. It is true that in the Spanish translations for the game, 46 is referred to with effeminate pronouns. I suppose this can just be chalked up to the translators not really being kept in the loop. So in this video, I'm not going to review the story itself, but basically lay out what the story tells us about GGY, aka Gregory. But first, let's talk about those letters and what they mean. GGY is a string of 3 letters you can find at the top of the high scoreboard for every single arcade machine in the Pizzaplex, with the exception of 3. The Chica arcade cabinet that's out of bounds from the actual map, Monty's golf arcade cabinet, and Balloon World. These 3 cabinets are thought to be part of their own arcade conspiracy, so they're not going to be all that relevant to this video. However, the letters GGY were thought to be the shortening of the name Gregory. This would mean Gregory had not only been in the Pizzaplex before the start of Security Breach, but also had visited there often enough to gain such high scores. Thus began the Gregory is GGY theory, which often spun off into its own little theory tree. Gregory lived at the Pizzaplex, Gregory is a missing child, Gregory is an Afton, and of course, Gregory is Patient 46. In the story GGY, we follow Tony, who aims to be a reporter and journalist at his school. He decides he wants to solve the mystery of who GGY was, since no one actually seemed to know. It's worth noting that in this story, not even staff seem to know who GGY is, which definitely calls into question the nature of Vanessa and 46's therapy. More on that later. We're told that whoever GGY is, they most likely nabbed a staff pass in order to sneak in after hours. However, when Tony goes to investigate this, he finds out that it's not a staff pass but a modified play pass. If you haven't played Security Breach, these passes are what allows you access to the various different areas of the Pizzaplex. GGY's pass was given a magnetic security strip which allowed him to go anywhere he wanted in the building. And we also see that he had brought 3 other people into the Pizzaplex in the past. We then find out that these people who GGY brought into the Pizzaplex were also school counselors who then went missing. Another character, named Crystal, also reveals that this GGY had been hacking into the Pizzaplex's security system, leaving strings of G's and Y's as a calling card, indicating that he's the one who hacked the animatronics, including Glamrock Freddy. Eventually, we find out that GGY had caught on to Tony's plan and changed the story he was writing to appear nonsensical and fictional. It's here that we find out Tony's friend is named Greg, and Greg had some people at the Pizzaplex that he wanted Tony to meet. End of story. So a lot happens in this story. It's been praised for being rather straightforward for a Fazbear Fright story. I mean a Tales from the Pizzaplex story, definitely not the same series. But to me, it just leaves a lot of questions that seem really important to answer. For starters, if the therapists that GGY killed are actually school counselors, then why was Vanessa seeing them as well? She's presumably a full-grown woman. These therapists we hear in the tapes are also almost definitely employees for Fazbear Entertainment. They almost always refer to themselves as if they're a part of the company. It's possible that these school counselors are just regular therapists who happen to be hired by both the school and Fazbear Entertainment, but I find it incredibly suspicious. That said, it does provide us with quite a bit of explanation as to how each of the therapists went missing. They were all brought to the Pizzaplex and killed, which would explain why when one of them was found, it looked like they were mangled by machinery. GGY probably had Freddy kill them or something. But my biggest problem with GGY, Gregory, and 46 all being the same person is that it doesn't make sense within the context of security breach. Gregory is being actively hunted by the animatronics Vanny and Burntrap during the game's runtime. If 46 really is Gregory, then why do all the people presumably on 46's side want to kill him? Then I thought back to my previous theories. See, I'm still convinced that this room above the daycare is patient 46's room, but Gregory is also seeing endoskeletons for the first time in security breach, which there are plenty of within 46's room. So how can both be true? Either they aren't, and all of SB was somehow Gregory's plan, or we're looking at a similar situation to Vanessa and Vanny. Maybe Gregory had his own alternate identity that invaded his mind. It would explain a lot. Primarily how he can be patient 46, but also be a victim of them. Knowing that Gregory is a certified gamer, maybe he played the VR game and merged minds with Glitchtrap, similar to Vanessa. This alternate personality would be our patient 46. This also explains Gregory's choice of name when he's working undercover as a journalist, the name Dr. Rabbit. Somehow Gregory broke free of his programming, if you want to call it that, and that's the Gregory we know during Security Breach's runtime. The Gregory that doesn't know anything about anything. The one who doesn't have that jacked up play pass. The one who the animatronics know by name without him even being in the guest database. And who would have given him this jacked up pass? Probably the head of security Vanny, who 46 was caught on camera conversing with at least one time. I'll admit, I hated the idea of Gregory being patient 46 before I started writing this video, but honestly, now I'm all for it, if this is indeed the story Steelwool and Scott wants to tell. But there are some lingering questions. First and foremost, does this mean Vanny or Vanessa brought Glamrock Freddy down to Burntrap? I initially theorized that 46 could have done it, but considering we know now that 46 isn't a she, it has to be Vanny, right? Speaking of, why isn't Glamrock Freddy acting like he did in the novella? In GGY, Glamrock Freddy is sort of the closest thing we see to a main antagonist, stalking Tony while he investigates. He's clearly under Glitchtrap's control by this point, so what changed? I think this might lend more credence to my theory that Glamrock Freddy went down to the underground pizzeria in order to become possessed and contain the soul of Charlotte. And what about those arcade cabinets that GGY doesn't have the highest score on? Balloon World is at the very least somewhat involved with Glitchtrap, and we don't know much about Monty Golf or the Chica cabinet. So why don't they have his high scores? Furthermore, why do any of these arcade cabinets have high scores connected to GGY? Is this a part of his plan or something? Maybe it's something like, oh, the animatronics coding is tied to the arcade cabinets. Or something, I don't know. The other thing I could think of was that maybe each high score is a code. This would explain why some people think GGY is hacking the game. He is, not to play the games, but to leave a code. Maybe for Vanessa or Vanny. Some of these scores are very similar. 99919, 99199, 91999, or how about 64555, 55456, 67645? What I find most interesting is not just that these high scores are similar, it's that they're all within specific ranges, between 50,000 and 73,000, and then over 99,000. However, there are two outliers, those being 23,412 and 87,333. I don't know if this means anything, but I thought it was worth noting. The idea of it being a code is the only thing I can rationalize as being something necessary to display on the arcade cabinets. It could be something like a sleeper agent code that turns Vanessa into Vanny whenever she sees it, or maybe something left behind for the player. Regardless, I think there's more to this mystery than meets the eye, and Steelwool themselves have noted that there are secrets in SB no one's found yet. As I see it, now more than ever, is it time to dive back in and pick over this game. We're missing something, and we just got a pretty big hint. So let's do it. Thanks for watching, I'm DMuted, be sure to like and subscribe, and share this video around. Peace.